Hey, everybody. Thanks for listening to the Marriage is Tougher Than Woodpecker Lips podcast. This is Brian, joined by my co-host, Paul. We'd like to welcome you to a community meant for the men of the world to share their thoughts and perspectives on marriage. We can learn from each other's experiences and help each other be better husbands. On today's episode, we'd like to talk to you about how we vacation together. And we're going to talk about, do we need to have all the experiences when we go on vacation, or is it okay just to be together?
Yeah, and before we hop in, I just want to encourage you to lean into community. You can reach out to us searching Marriage is Tougher on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and our website, marriageisttougher.com. There's a contact form there if you want to leave us any feedback or if you'd like to be a guest. Also, all of our archive episodes are there, so you can catch up on all the episodes if you'd like. Let's hop into this episode.
Yeah, man. So how do you and your wife vacation together? I feel like most of us in the world, when we vacation, we're there to try to create memories. And what better way to create memories than to do all the things, right? So my trouble with that is, like, I want to go on vacation because I'm tired, boss. Like, I've been doing all the things and I need a break. Don't run me ragged on vacation because I need rest. And I feel like it should be time for us to connect with one another without all the responsibilities, right? Now, granted, like, if you have children, I get that you want them to have those experiences and everything too, but could we go like 50-50 or something? 50-50. Like, let me
Right.
rest a day.
Well, yeah, what you mentioned though is it could be two different experiences, right? The family vacation versus the couple's vacation,
Right.
right? But either way, like you said, if you're running yourself ragged and you come home, a lot of people say they need a vacation from their vacation. And to me, that's kind of how I felt, except for the last two times I vacationed. It was real chill. And I was like, oh no, this is vacation.
Tell me about that.
So, um, So we went to the DR for our anniversary in September, and that was the first time we had vacationed by ourselves, maybe since our honeymoon. Um,
Wow.
so it was just different, like figuring out like how do we even like doing stuff without the kids as the focus? What do we want to do as individuals, and what do we want to do as a couple? So we had a couple conversations right before we left, like, okay, what do we want to do? It's just going to be chill. And it was a new place. We'd never been there. And it wasn't like where we went. It wasn't like, it wasn't on a resort. It was like in the Dominican, like a small fishing town. Shout out to Bahibe. Um, so we just, we walked around. We did like a tour with like, we paid for a tour for just us to hit a lot of the tourist spots, but we kind of chartered a boat because we knew a guy that knew a guy. So
Okay.
we were able to do that and have that whole experience, and it was really chill. Like there wasn't a lot of going places. I mean, we went. My uncle lives down there close, so he came and got us one day, and we spent a good portion of the day with him. But it was literally just going to his house. His wife cooked us breakfast, and then he showed us his like land and stuff. So it wasn't like trying to do a bunch of stuff, which was
Yeah.
great. Um, and then we did a family vacation right after Thanksgiving this year. Went to Fort Lauderdale, somewhere we've been before, like that town we've been to before, but we found a new spot to stay at. Literally walk out onto the beach. And normally we're beach hopping and all that, but we didn't have a car this time. So like we had to think like, do we want to pay for an Uber to do all these things? Or do we want to get a lift to go here? And the place had bikes. So we went on a bike ride one day, but it was literally just every day we went across to the beach, walked out to the beach, walked out to the pool. I went to the beach, went to the pool, went and got something to eat. And it was just like, we don't have to do all these things that we're usually doing, which is like all right, we're going to go to this beach this day, this beach that day, blah, blah, blah. Let's see if we can, go to the movies, go, up to this restaurant, see all this stuff. No, we ate at the restaurant, which they're, at the restaurant for the resort we were in, which is really good. Right down the street was like a line of, shops and restaurants. So we went to those. So we didn't have to do a lot. And the kids said, our older kids were like, by far best vacation they've had because it was
Uh,
so relaxing. And as parents, yeah, you want to make all these memories, and they have, the they have all the memories. So I think that also plays into being able to have a chill vacation because they've already done all the stuff, and
okay.
they've experienced all the things. So as I'm thinking through it, maybe that does play a part. Like you said, 50-50, or maybe like one vacation we're going to do all the things, the next one we're going to chill. But I think that if you want to truly vacation, you have to have one where you just rest and
Yeah.
enjoy where you are, not make it a we have to do all these tasks, but more so what type of food do we want to eat, and what restaurant has that food, and make that like the most the most uh decision based thing that you have to do on your vacation.
Yeah. Yeah. See, now for us, we're not so much of a do all the experiences type of vacation family. Like if we have all the kids, it's more or less we're going to go to the beach every day. We're going to get in the water. We're going to make sure that they experience the beach fully if we're at the beach, right? Um, if we are by ourselves, then it tends to be more of a, oh, we finally have time to go out and do something, so we got to go do this. Right? Um, but I think the last time we left, we went to New Orleans, and we talked about this on the pod a little bit about how we planned for our meals. So that's one thing, right? And so we kind of, like you said, set our expectations for, um, you know, what is it that we want the purpose of this vacation to be, and then we also planned well as far as, our, we'll call it a meal plan, right? And then we discussed a couple things that we wanted to do that we hadn't done yet in that area, which we accomplished that as well. But I also feel like I got to relax a bit, right? It wasn't, I'm on vacation, but I still need to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning to do X, Y, and Z, right? We can sleep in a little bit, whether that be 10 or 11 o'clock. I don't even know if you could sleep that long, but it depends on what time you get down. And I think that was one of the most relaxing vacations, even though it was just for a few days. It was one of the most relaxing vacations I've had because there was that time for connection between me and my wife, right? Because we weren't trying to just get out and see and do everything. We had time to talk. We had time to chill. Um, we had recorded a podcast, so there was the one day that we did wake up early to get that out of the way. Um, but outside of that, like I felt free, I guess is how I'd want to describe that. That freedom that I don't necessarily have to be here at this time because we booked a tour, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we're gonna take this walking tour and we're gonna go on our terms when we want to be there. So
Yeah, that's really good. It's I think it shows your example is it is enough to just be with your spouse, right? If you make it, but I mean, if you're activities people, for sure, do some activities. But I think the biggest thing is setting expectations in the beginning, so that way no one's disappointed, and you know what you both want to achieve. That's probably the biggest takeaway um, of how to make a vacation feel like vacation. It's
yeah,
setting those first.
yeah. And so I'm gonna maybe blow this up a little bit, but what I want to say to folks is do the work to learn to just be together. right? Because I feel like sometimes we may try to make all the plans so we are distracted by the plans and don't have to sit in that uncomfortable, oh, it's only us, right? So if we do the work where we're comfortable just being together, then you can also have both sides and enjoy it a little bit more, right? You can enjoy just being quiet or going to dinner, you know, maybe going out for drinks and listening to a band, but just the two of you in a space where you can converse, right? Not have to necessarily talk about anything serious, but maybe learn something new about each other, right? Or being so comfortable together that when you go and experience all of these excursions and experiences and what have you, um, because you've laid that groundwork, you are now more comfortable with each other and you were more free with each other. And I find that I feel less obligation to like hold up this image, right? I feel like because I'm completely open with my wife, I care less about what the image is that I project to the world, right? Like it's still important, right? I'm not trying to be sloppy or anything. Um, but if I'm comfortable with my wife, then I'm comfortable with my wife. Like the other opinions don't necessarily matter.
That's a good point. The and that helps you focus on your wife, right?
Right.
If you're not trying to put on that persona that you think the world needs or you need to present to the world, either about you or how you guys look as a couple or how you're reacted to as a couple or how you present as a couple, because you're solid in who you are as a couple, then you don't have to present yourself in a certain way and you can be free to enjoy whatever space you're in, especially on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very, very good point. Um, I'll say when we did our anniversary vacation, it was there was a space of uncomfortability, like, oh, it's just the two of us. Like in this space, what are we doing? What do we want to do? Are we just gonna sit here, and kind of chat? Because the cool thing and the not cool thing is like there we didn't have access to a TV, so
Okay.
like it was very like had to have conversations and like had to figure out, so it was really nice. Um, but it was different because there's always that distraction or the time to kind of chill and just veg out, like be together, just watching a show. But it was like,
Mm-hmm.
not like we're going to talk about stuff or we're going to read or anything like that, or we're just going to sit on this balcony and just be okay with just snuggling up on the little couch that they have and just enjoy it. And so it was a lot of that, like without the normal distractions that we had or the normal things we were doing. So I think that was part of the uncomfortability as well, because it was a little out of the norm. But it was also just the two of us, and we haven't been
Yeah.
just the two of us on vacation forever. It seemed like.
Yeah. So I want to put you on the spot a little bit and ask, um, how would you advise or coach a couple to work on becoming more comfortable with each other? Right. So when they get to those spaces of, hey, it's just the two of us, do we know each other? Right.
Yeah.
Because like someone I very highly respect said this to me not long ago. He and his wife have been together for years. Their children are just about grown, right? College, graduated from college, and he's like, we went on vacation recently, and it was awkward because we are now in this place where we're just about empty nesters, and we're having to kind of relearn each other. right? So like my in my mind, doing what we do on the podcast, I was like, man, a lot of people make it feel or make me feel or make it seem like that's just an inevitable piece of having children. But how can we work on avoiding that space?
That's a good question. It's kind of like everything that involves children, right? You can be told that it's one way, but until you experience it, you don't know how that's going to work for you, right? Like
Right.
you can be told like, man, like it's tough, when you have kids those first couple weeks, and no matter how often you've either been with kids, been around with someone who just had a baby, whatever, when it's your own, it's different. Um,
Mhm.
not bad, not good or bad. It's just different. Like when you actually experience it, because you have to walk it out. So I think inevitably that does happen, the realization and the adjustment. But as far as the awkwardness of being empty nesters, it's being intentional on, in the time that you have now, going, setting time to not talk about the kids. So whether it's a date, whether it's a vacation, like just let's be just together and be like, all kid stuff is off the table. Like, let's talk about each other. Like, what's something new that you found, or where did you fail, or what did you learn? Like, you can get a question deck of questions that you can ask each other, and just be kind of get into that bag, like pull out the deck and start asking these questions, because sometimes it's hard to think of things on your own besides the mundane, like how was work. But even the how
Right.
was work, there can be how was work questions that really pull out who your spouse is becoming now, right? Which is different from who they were when you first got married. So it's always to figure out who you are as a person now, the experiences that you've had, um, your thought process. What are you thinking about? How are you coming to conclusions now, right at this moment? And not assume that your spouse is the same as who they were when they met you, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, a year ago, even yesterday. Like, because things can happen that can totally change their opinion and their thought process. So being open to have those conversations and hear, really listen to who they're saying they are right now, and kind of go back and forth with those questions and those answers in those conversations.
That's great, man. I got to tell you, my kids love playing those card games where you just ask random questions or whatever, Um, and even when I don't have immediate access to them, if we're at the dinner table, they are now starting to say, "Bring out the invisible cards."
I love
Just they just want to converse.
Yeah.
So I like that we're training them to do that, and they're holding us accountable for those conversations now. But um, I've done that with my wife as well. I've pulled out the deck of cards, like let's just ask some questions and see what it is I don't know,
Hmm.
right? And it has connected us. We should probably go back through at this point, to be honest with you, because it's been a little while. But I really like that advice to use conversation aids. Like why not? It seems, I guess, a little bit odd. You might be a little bit embarrassed by it, but you know, you're not doing it in front of anybody else. So
Yeah, another hurdle, right? Like, it might be awkward if one of you is against it or feels, like it's unconventional, but okay, let's talk about through why. Even that can be a conversation. Like, why do you
right.
feel like it's, oh, well, I assume we should just have these, we should just be able to do this. Well, up to this point, we haven't. So we've proven that we don't have it. And, we use aids for everything else in life. Do you want to take that power steering off your car or not? Like, you know what I mean? So we use aids everywhere else. And it's weird when we get into relationships, we don't want to use aids. We want to assume
Right.
that someone should just know all these things. Like, yeah, I don't know anything about power steering, but I know when there's no fluid in there and when it's not working, it's really hard to turn a car. So, you know what I mean? Have you ever had your
Yep.
car shut off on you and then you know how hard it is to steer your car because there's no power steering?
Yeah.
So just be open to having that conversation and even talk through why it might be uncomfortable to have a deck, and just go through it and walk through that first, and then say, well, let's try five, and if it's terrible, we won't come back to them. you know
Yeah. Yeah. But it's a little uncomfortable to begin with, a little awkward, but once you get into them, and then once you hit that first card that has the question on it that you've been wanting to ask but didn't know how to ask it, then the cards force you to ask it. You're like, all right, I'm here now.
no, that's great. I think, did we talk about enjoying time with your spouse on vacation because you don't have the responsibilities at home, or do you really
Ooh,
enjoy that? And we literally, Crystal really literally asked that question. She was like, I'm trying to figure out, like, if I'm just liking this because we don't have anything to do, like we're just here, or like, do I really like what we're doing? Like, do we need to shift anything to enhance this, or is this fine? And she's like, there's not a right or wrong answer. It's just we've never sat and thought about it. But because it is nice when you just don't have those responsibilities, and that can make your vacation amazing. Well, for me, for sure, because I got I'm the I'm the dog, take her out her in the morning, the feeder, all that. So like every time we go somewhere, like I feel like it's the best time ever because I don't have to do that. Like there's no
right,
one
right.
like, hey, I need to go out. Hey, I need to be fed. Like, you know. So, and Crystal is the primary. She, gets Bella ready, takes her to school. So like I know not having to do that is nice. Or she gets her hair together. She's the primary person that does that. So not having to get a kid ready is also nice to just, she only has to worry about her when we're when we're going somewhere. um so yeah, we definitely had that conversation, like, and had to sit in that, like, we each had to like go our separate ways and think and ponder, like, do we really like this time together, or we just like that it's free from all the other stuff?
Right. That's a good question. Because before you got to the end, the way you like rephrased it, I was about to ask you, is the actual question, do we enjoy each other or just the experience of not having the responsibilities? Right? Because it seems like those two things aren't related, but number one, what's the reason we go on vacation is because we need a break, right? So what are we actually breaking from? Are we trying to break from the responsibility of being married, right? Or is it just the responsibilities that are kind of attached to that?
Yo, that's the deeper question. Why are we
Yeah,
going on vacation? And that helps
yeah,
frame your vacation.
right, right. Because I know when I think about vacation, I'm like, all right, I just need to get away from work, right? I need to be able to shut my mind down for a little while and put that to the side. And then we go to plan a vacation, and you know, before we learn to really have those conversations about, all right, let's set expectations, let's plan well, let's do all the things, it was like a whole nother job just to plan vacation and then get everything together and get there. And then now we're there. And like, I'm frustrated from the day of travel and like, just leave me alone. Right. So being able to have all those conversations and prepare well leads me to now actually enjoying the trip. Do we have to hop on a plane together? Cool, we're on time, and now we're talking on the plane, and you know, making plans, maybe some last minute plans about some of the things that we might want to do or not do, as it were. Um, but because we've learned to converse with each other, we now do actually enjoy that time together. And it feels less like I'm trying to just unload and get away from everything, even you. I just need a break. And it's more or less like, all right, we can decompress together, right? And what can I, wow, all right, so what can I do to serve you on vacation and have you serve me in return, where we're just helping each other unload the stresses of what our life has become.
Boy, that was good.
It
That
felt
was
good.
good. It's like, how can I step away with you? And what's the best way that we can sneak away or steal away together?
Yeah, that intention there and having that conversation and that being part of planning your vacation will make a huge difference, rather than just let's go to Disney because everybody does it. Right?
Yeah.
Like it's that's major.
Man, that's just a new way to reframe your vacation. Like, I'm gonna put this in a different frame, and when we do vacation, when we're even talking about it, we're gonna do that, right? Because even so, we can do like even we can go to Disney as a family, but if we're going there five, maybe we'll only do two parks
Mhm.
with a big gap in between, and then we just enjoy the resort that we're at for in between. So it might
Yeah.
be stressful because obviously it's an amusement park, it's Disney, it's a whole thing, but we're not going for 3 days and going for three different parks, right? Right? Like,
Right.
how do
Right.
we want
Right.
to do this? So that's good. And then when you're stealing away with time together, you know, what do you need on this vacation? Like,
That's a good question right there.
you know, and I think like what you said about why are you going on vacation, that part, like, I want to get away from work. Like, I want to shut my mind off. So it's what's the prep work before we get on vacation so that when we're there, the mind is off. I mean, we've already talked about that, deciding what foods we want to eat, what restaurants we want to go to, what do we want to do. But if you prep that before, then it's kind of laid out for you. So that's less.
Mhm.
And then, but if a person is wired that way and that doesn't like feel like brain power, then let them lead in that area. Whichever one of you, if you're the organizer and you're the task person and that's what you like and that gives you energy, then hey, by all means, you can take care of that on vacation and we'll uh we'll get there and have a great time.
Yeah. Yeah, man. That's a good conversation, man. We are a little overtime. I'm okay with that because of I think I was even enlightened a little bit by this conversation. So I'm here for it. But yeah, that's all I have on it.
Yeah. So thank you again for listening. We appreciate you. If you got anything from this conversation, please share it with anyone that you think would benefit. Again, reach out to us on Instagram, DM us, Searching Marriage is Tougher, also on Facebook. Catch our faces on YouTube, listen to us, obviously on podcast, and click or go to marriagestougher.com if you'd like to see all of our episodes, or if you'd like to be a guest. There's a form you can fill out. We'll reach out to you and get you on the show. Again, we appreciate you. Thanks for just listening to our conversation, and we'll talk to you next time.
Peace.